So what do you do when you're a Prime Minister 24 hours away from leading your party to its worst defeat in its 346-year history? Well, for Rishi Sunak, in one last desperate throw of the dice, it's asking this guy to come along to your rally and spout this bollocks.
And it was because we got a proper Brexit, and you will all remember how hard that fight was, that we came out of the EU single market, we controlled our own regulation. And my friends, whatever people may say, that national independence was vital when it came to approving COVID vaccines faster than any EU country.
It's a claim Johnson has repeated many times.
Had it not been for our ability to do our own regulation, had it not been for the fact that we come out of the European Medicines Agency and the MHRA, the Medical Health Regulation Agency, was now totally free to decide how fast to approve a vaccine, we wouldn't have been able to do that vaccine rollout so fast. And, you know, it is literally true that Brexit helped save lives.
Even Sunak himself shamelessly jumped on the bandwagon in his ever more desperate attempt to identify a benefit of Brexit.
Just remember one thing, Mr. Speaker, we had the fastest vaccine rollout in the world. We had that because of our freedoms after leaving the European Union.
Government ministers also fell over themselves joining in.
We wouldn't have had the vaccine rollout that was so successful if we'd been within the European Union.
But the claim is, of course, completely untrue, and they all know it. EU legislation enacted into British law already allowed countries to temporarily authorise vaccines without waiting for approval from the European Medicines Agency. In fact, the UK government always made it clear that it could authorise vaccines unilaterally under European law before we left the EU. Don't just take my word for it. Here is the independent fact-checker Full Fact. Under European law, the UK was permitted to act independently to approve the vaccine in an emergency. And here is Channel 4 Fact Check. As a UK government press release from 23rd of November 2020 states, if a suitable COVID-19 vaccine candidate becomes available before the end of the transition period, EU legislation which we have implemented via Regulation 174 of the Human Medicines Regulations allows the MHRA to temporarily authorise the supply of a medicine or vaccine based on public health need. So even if we were still a member of the EU, the UK regulator would have been able to take this decision on its own because EU law already allows it. And if all that's not enough for you, here is the actual head of the UK's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, June Rain.
We appear to be getting authorisation for this vaccine ahead of our friends in Europe. I was just wondering, does the fact that the UK is no longer part of the EU, did that make any difference to the speed with which you were able to complete the authorisation?
We have been able to authorise the supply of this vaccine using provisions under European law which exist until the 1st of January.
So who are we going to believe? Full Fact, Channel 4 Fact Check and the actual head of the MHRA? Or Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak and a bunch of ever more desperate Conservative MPs? Even LBC's Nick Ferrari has caught up on this.
You say, I'm proud to have got Brexit done. I now look forward to the future to build a truly global Britain. What are the three best achievements since getting Brexit done, would you say, Minister? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Well, I'd say from the start, the biggest impact we've seen over the last couple of years is probably the Britain's ability to fulfil its own vaccine programme.
Well, you'll be aware, of course, the independent website Full Fact say that's not true, and even the boss of our own MHRA, Dr. June Rain, has also said that's not true. So,
but we could have
can we
done
strike that one out?
You're absolutely right.